I'm Peter Young. I'm a primary therapist at Evolutions Treatment, and I'm going to talk a little bit about anxiety. A lot of people look at anxiety as something that is a foe, not a friend. And my philosophy is simply this. Anxiety is there just to tell you that something's going on. I look at anxiety as my friend. So I'm anxious about something, my friend is telling me that I need to pay attention to something. What I do is I ask myself, why am I anxious? Something is a very simple question. Once I'm able to find out why I'm anxious, I'm able to break it down to a manageable level where it's not as overwhelming. Because what happens with a lot of people is they get anxious and then they get anxious about being anxious, which leads to a panic attack. Some people have had those before, they're not comfortable. So look at anxiety as your friend. So what happens with anxiety? Anxiety derives from the sympathetic nervous system. The sympathetic nervous system does essentially this. It increases the adrenaline, it increases dopamine, and what happens with it is the fight or flight mode. Once we get into a fight or flight mode, our bodies are ready to really go at it. So if you think about the sympathetic nervous system, you think of fight or flight, you think of the reptilian brain. The reptilian brain is, think about this as the gas of the body, okay? So the sympathetic nervous system is the gas of the body. So now the sympathetic nervous system is gauged in, and I'm not running and I'm not fighting. So now I've got all this chemical reaction that's going on with nowhere to go. So of course I'm bottling it up, and all I'm feeling is the results of the chemical reaction. Well, there's a simple thing that we do. It's called a breathing hack. One of the things that I do is combat breathing. Combat breathing is 4 seconds in, hold for 4 seconds, 4 seconds out, hold for 4 seconds again, and then you start the process all over again. Now, you heard me talk about the sympathetic nervous system. Now let's talk about the parasympathetic nervous system, the brakes of the body. Okay? One of the brakes of the body is that breathing hack that I just talked about that helps to engage the parasympathetic, which is, oddly enough, part of the digestive system. So once the digestive system's kicked in, the anxiety will naturally gear down. One of the other ways to do it, and one thing that I do just before I leave the office, is I eat an apple. Eating the apple actually gets me into the parasympathetic, and it's not an apple, it could be anything, but I use an apple because it's one of the things that just is natural to me. So I engage that, and as I'm doing that, the parasympathetic nervous system gauges down my anxieties, and as I go home much more relaxed. So when you look at it, we have two things that are going on. We have the sympathetic nervous system, gas of the body, parasympathetic nervous system, brakes of the body. If I'm geared up and I don't need to be, I know how to gear it back down. So when you think of anxiety as your friend, not your enemy. All right, thank you.